Hey, what's up, guys? I want to show you a stretching idea today. This is 4 stretches. If you could only do 4, what would they be? And this has become pretty important to me because I've got so much like PT stuff and warm-up stuff, and like sometimes I feel like by the time I get to the meat of my workouts, like it's already like a half hour, so I can't just be doing like every single stretch. I'm gonna try to be efficient with as much as possible, just so I don't spend all day in the gym or in the karate school. Although I do kind of spend all day there, but that's for a different reason. Okay, so 4 stretches. If I could only do 4, all right? I'm going to show you the first one. Come on over this way. If I could only do 1, it would be this opening up stretch for the hip flexors and the biceps and the chest. You can get on a wall or a doorway. You put your hand up on an angle, slight bend of the arm. Notice that my hand is slightly behind my shoulder at this point. And then what I'm going to do is step back with the inside leg and forward with the outside leg. I'm going to start to lunge into this front knee. And as long as I keep my hips tucked upward and I just kind of push my hips forward, I should feel a real good stretch in my hip flexor, which can be hard to get to. It's one of the muscles that really tightens up on a lot of people, and it's not really easy to stretch. You have to work it a little and play with it a little and just try to find the right spot. So I'm here, and all of these muscles that tighten up from sitting at a desk and just from getting older, biceps, chest, across through here into your hip flexor, and we're going to hold that. Guys, hold your stretches for at least 30 good seconds of deep breaths so that you can contract and relax and actually feel like the point is to get a little better range of motion, right? So you should actually feel that happening, right? Don't be totally passive when you stretch. So you're going to do that on both sides. Here's what it looks like from the back as I push my hip forward and bend onto my front knee. You might tend to get a little tilted. Try not to. Try to keep your hips straight. Okay, so that's 1. If I could only do 1, that would be the 1, but we said we're going for 4. So my second one would be a QL straddle. A lot of times we refer to this as a seated split. Technically, it's a straddle, like gymnasts would separate this from your other splits. Okay, so from here, you've got little hamstring, little adductor, a lot of adductor work, feel it on the insides of the knees in here, attachments in here as well, pulling the toes up. And then what I'm going to add to this, which really makes it awesome and efficient, is I'm going to put one hand down in the middle. I'm going to bring the opposite arm over and just get this nice stretch in this QL, get some of these rib cage kind of muscles stretching, and get deeper into a hamstring on one side, all at the same time. I'm just allowing this shoulder to sink down toward my knee, almost like I'm falling asleep on it. All right, so I do 30 there. We'd come across with this one and going 30 here. Notice with both of these that I've shown you so far, you're not just stretching one muscle at a time. You're putting yourself in a position where all kinds of things get loosened up. I will do each of these a few times a week for at least that 30 seconds on each side. All right, I'm going to come out of that by scooting back and bounce those legs in. And we're good on that one. All right, the next one I would do, because you got a little bit of hamstring in that one, but not a lot. The next one I would do is a downward dog. Make sure you have a really good floor for this. Wood floor is not great for the hands. This carpet is pretty good in my house, so I'm just going to do it on here. But you will start in a plank. Get your middle fingers pointed straight and your hands spread out nicely. fingers spread out, get this plank, and then tip back and try to just lift your hips, push your chest down. Nice calf stretch, nice hamstring stretch. And I'm really trying, if you see from the side, really just trying to get my chest down and my heels down to the floor. You can sort of pedal like this if you want to get a little more calf in it. I'm sure your yoga people out there would have all kinds of good criticism for my technique on that one. I know it's still doing something good. So I would get hamstrings and calves that way, and then I would throw in this 90-90 stretch with right angles at each ankle, knee, and hip, right, front and back, and then just go down. I'm going to imagine pushing my femur back into the hip capsule here on my active side. I'm going to square up to it and just go down over that and stretch the outer side of that hip. A lot of people, if you see them do their side up stretch, you see that they have a little impingement, you know, on the top there, and it's not necessarily their standing hamstring that's holding them back. It might be more what's going on at the top. Sometimes your hip's not in the right slot to allow your side kick to go higher, but you might be tight in there. You know, that might be part of the picture. So we're going down here. You can even move over a little bit. All kinds of things you can do in this position, but I like to get that outer hip. All right, come around to the other side. Get my 90-degree angles everywhere. Femur back into the hip capsule, squaring up, and coming down over the leg. If you don't do that thing, if you don't kind of push that leg bone back into the hip capsule, if you just kind of let it be slack there, then to me this doesn't really feel like anything. But you can even do it by sort of pushing on your knee, just feel how you can get that big leg bone to go back and then down over it. And that's nice. A lot of people like pigeon here, but I think pigeon is really, really intense. And what it takes to hold yourself up a lot of times will cause you to stop breathing. And then it's just not as good of a stretch, in my opinion, because then you're not able to relax into it, right? If you're, you know, oh, I'm so heavy, I have to hold myself up, and this is really intense, and everything's like, you know, if you see it on your face is like this, you're probably not getting a nice stretching experience. So I like this one. All right, good.